Today on Beavertown Outdoors, 4-way or a box wedge. If you could only pick one, which would it be? Well, let's take a look and you can decide. Hello again, friends. Welcome to another edition of Beavertown Outdoors. I'm John. I'm out here at the still cold, beautiful Beavertown compound. It is still very cold. We're finally getting close to 20 today. Tomorrow it's supposed to be mid to upper 20s, so that's going to be a heat wave. But when you do firewood, you know, the only way to keep up is to keep going even when it's cold. But I'm not here to talk about the weather. What I want to talk about today is the wedges. Is a box wedge right for you, or are you better with a 4 or 6-way wedge? So if you're putting big money down on your splitter and you're putting everything into it, and you can only get one, which one should you choose? Multi-way or a box wedge? And so a lot of that's going to depend on what you're splitting, what your goal is, and how important it is for you to be consistent. Also, what's your tolerance for debris? For everybody knows, it's all over. There's plenty of videos out talking about box wedges. You saw it on the video when first used the Easton-made here, the Easton-made 1222. It did create a lot of slash, kindling, junk, debris, whatever you want to call it. But in my last video, I actually had swapped out for the 4-way here, as you can see what's in the Easton-made right now. And, that worked good. That worked good to split up ugly stuff, make up some boiler wood, stuff that was destined for that. A couple splits through, and 1 or 2 splits through this, it's done. One thing, if you notice, when I was using the box wedge, were we wasting a lot by using the box wedge on some of the smaller stuff, not on the bigger stuff. I've got a really giant log over here that, if I can keep you out of the sun, I've got this big monster here that we're gonna eventually get to splitting up, cutting up, splitting up, and I'm sure the box wedge is going to excel at that. Also I've got all that really large pine. But what I also have a lot of is ash. And there's actually, I've got all that ash that I cut up that was blown down out in the woods, which we've had the ice storms and everything. I've got a lot more out there to go get. Ash, maple, stuff like that. But a lot of it is around, I don't know, say this size. Okay. If my hand spreads 8 inches, something like that, we're only in the 6-inch territory there. So I got a lot of that stuff, and that will go through the 4-way really nicely, especially with the hydraulically adjustable wedge. But, it's not the easiest thing with a splitter like this. to change the wedges. It's not a matter of like what the Rugged Made was, which was slide it off and set it aside and go to the single, throw it back on, throw the 6-way, throw the 4-way. This takes some doing, especially to put the box wedge in. So kind of want to set it to figure out if you're going to run a whole bunch of one thing, put the wedge you want for that in there. You know, if wood's not perfect size for it, you deal with it. But, you know, talking to some of the others with the box wedge, whether it be Wolf Ridge, Easton Made, whoever, you know, a lot of them say, unless I got something really gnarly that just will not go, there's no way it's going to go through the box wedge, I just leave the box wedge in all the time, deal with the scrap. The time savings, you know, beats the wood savings. So, which, you know, if you're cutting up blow down, tree service wood, something like that, if you lose, you know, if it's wood that was free other than your time, your gas to get it, to acquire it, you know, then you're not out a bunch, you know, with, but when you get like a truckload of logs, especially red oak or something like that, to where you're paying, you know, you're paying a couple of grand for, you know, potentially for a load of logs, you want to, you know, you want to use every bit of it you can and waste as little as possible. So enough talking. I'm gonna get this fired back up and get the Easton Made fired up here, and what we're gonna do is I'm gonna run a bunch of logs through the 4-way into, just got towed over here, that way I can move this out of the way when I need to. But we're gonna run a bunch of logs through the 4-way, and then after that I'm gonna pull the 4-way out, throw the box wedge back in, and then we're gonna run the rest of it through the box wedge. So hang out here and we'll get to going. Alright guys, so that made a whole bunch of wood fast. I gotta chuck some of this into the tote, right? And we got almost a tote full out of that. Not too long a time. And you know, adjusting the wedge and everything else. We get, you know, you play around, you resplit some, but you get, you know, you can get anything from that to, you know, a piece like that. Pretty decent firewood. And yeah. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to first clean this mess up. And then I'm going to get the rancing out and get this tote out of here. And then I'm going to put the box wedge back in. And we'll pick this back up after I got the box wedge in. So stick around. Okay, so I'm back. And we got the box wedge back in. As hopefully you can see. And got a new pile of logs. We're gonna run these through the box wedge, and we'll see how much, you know, see how quick that goes, see how easy that is, and you know, maybe get a judge on how much extra scrap it's really making. So I'm gonna get the Eastimate fired back up, and we're gonna run some through. So stick around. Well, and there's a pile of wood created. I didn't time that, but I'm gonna say that was probably quicker than working the 4-way. And you know what's funny is, as much as everybody talks about, and I kind of understood things to be that, you know, any bit of crooked at all to a log was going to be trouble for the box wedge. That didn't seem to be the case. I seemed to fight with that less than I did with the 4-way. You know, I had stuff jumping out, deflecting, things like that. Now, some of that might be because that was the first use. That was some of the first use of the 4-way. Not exactly the first, but so far the box wedge has gotten a lot more use, and some of the powder coat has worn off. In fact, it's still wearing off. You can see, you know, some of it's coming off with this, you know, with the wood. You know, not the end of the world. That's going to happen, but yeah. So I'll be honest, a lot of the junk that has come off of the box wedge, you know, has really been, especially with this kind of wood, you know, it's been the punky little outer shell of it. You know, this wood sat for at least a solid year on the ground, and so there's a little bit of punkiness to it, but it shaved that off. Other than that, I mean, we're getting, you know, get a log like this that just kind of shaves it, but, you know, decent sized pieces. And, yeah. The only thing I will say, you know, this time I kept the tote back. This tote isn't cut very in the same level as the log table or the sorting table, catch pan, whatever you want to call it. So it wasn't going to push in there real well, and honestly, the other one that was, you know, it was just pushing the tote away for the most part. So I ended up just picking up stuff and throwing it in. I might as well do that anyway, let it pile up. So, but that's should be about enough to fill this tote. And I don't know, I would say that somewhere around two-thirds to maybe even down to half the time. Anyway, so, you know, I guess in conclusion, whatever's going to work for you, the type of wood you get, what you're looking for out of it. You know, when it comes to the choice of a box wedge or a multi-way conventional wedge, when you're talking a horizontal machine, choice is really up to you. They both have the pros and cons. So far, I'm finding more pros with the box wedge than I am cons. Transversely, I had more, like I said, I had a little more struggle with the 4-way. Yeah, so I think for production, I'm pretty much going to stick with the box wedge. If I'm making boiler wood for either myself or for others, you know, and I got a really nasty wood that needs to go, that's going to get chewed up, busted up by this, then yeah, I'll go the 4-way. But general, I think we're sticking with the box wedge for the most time. So anyway, feel free to drop a comment. Let me know what you think. And, you know, hopefully I gave you a little bit of information and a good comparison that you can make an informed decision. But that's going to do it for me today, guys. If you like what you saw, please like and subscribe. Feel free to share. Always welcome comments. Thank you to all the new subscribers lately. And till next time, everyone, from all of us here at the beautiful Beavertown compound and Beavertown Outdoors, take care of each other, be good, stay safe, and I'm out.